Hello everybody and welcome to the True Love Talk channel. As you know, here we want to learn about human sexuality, love, life, family, and all of this from the point of view of the Catholic Church, but particularly what Pope John Paul II left in the Theology of the Body. As you know, I am Elisa, and well, with that being said, so let's begin. So today's topic is the person as a gift, which means that the human person can only be who they actually are as long as they live to give themselves to others. And this is an idea that I've repeated throughout the series, right? The idea of we can only find ourselves when we are in front of the other person, because when we're in front of the other person, we realize that that person is going to ask us for something, even if the only thing they're asking is time or friendship, right? But when we try to answer to what they're asking for, right? When we try to give something from ourselves, then we have to look inside and realize who we are, right? That lets us see what do we have, what are our characteristics, what gives us value, and so on. And of course, we give ourselves to the other, we answer, and with our answer, the other person is going to, first of all, value what what we are giving, which gives us value, right? And makes us feel like we're worth something. But they also can see things that we never saw, right? The kind of things that we are blind about ourselves that other people can actually check and understand. That's the kind of thing. But then, in being in front of the other person and trying to answer to them, we also, part of the answer for towards the other person is to receive them, right? To value what they have to give, and to actually give it a place in our own life, which means that we recognize in the other person a different way of being human that we don't have. And that not only gives us a broader understanding of what humanity is, it also allows us to recognize in ourselves things that we are not, right? We understand the limits of who we are and of our own self. So yes, actually being human means being there for the other person. But to be able to give ourselves and become the gift that we are, we have to talk about the original man, which is the man, or the way that Pope John Paul II would call human beings when they respect their nature as God gave it. Okay? The thing is, when we sinned, right? When we fell, and we started with original sin. At that moment, we decided to become the owners of good and evil. So let's remember that what's good is what allows the thing to be what it is, right? What allows the nature of the thing to continue and to be good, to be okay, to be exactly what it's supposed to be. And evil is anything that destroys that nature. So before sinning, what we were doing was telling God that we indeed wanted him to be the creator, that we wanted our nature to be what he wanted it to be, right? And that means that the original man is this man before the fall, which means the man that is okay with being human. And it hasn't deformed its humanity to its will or its whims, which is actually how we define what's good and what's bad, right? Do I like it or do I not? At this point, before the fall, people actually respected what God had made of them, and they appreciated it. So this is when human nature is at its purest form, right? And it is characterized by, first of all, original solitude or original loneliness. Well, I think solitude. And this refers to that second chapter of Genesis when, if you remember, at this time, man was created in two times. First the male, then the female, right? So first God creates the man and he creates all the other animals. And when the man is in front of other animals, he realizes that he has something that is similar to them, because yes, we indeed share the body with them and we are a body amongst all bodies, right? Which means recognizing that there are things that animals do that we do as well. In them, their instincts, but in us, their tendencies. But still, we can see, we can identify that part of ourselves in the animal. And yet, it was very clear for the man that the animal could not understand their identity, and that the animal could not receive exactly what he was giving, because animals don't have enough conscience to understand who they are, so they cannot understand what anything else is, right? At least not the essence in the way that a person is. Which means that the person understood that they couldn't be who they were because there was no one there to give it to or to develop it for, right? So of course, this meant that the human being could not be as human as it could be. And so if God says, no, it's not good for man to be alone, so I'm going to make for them the woman, right? And the woman is that other human being that is human like him, but is a different way of being human because it's feminine when he's masculine. So of course, is not exactly the same, and yet can recognize him, can value him, can understand him, and can also show him a new way in which she is, right? So that is the first moment, that original solitude, the idea of, yeah, I am not like anyone else in the universe, is what allows us, at the moment we understand or we meet the other person, that's the moment when we can recognize ourselves and understand that, yeah, that other person is finite as I am, interdependent as I am, incomplete as I am. So everything that I am and I have is positive for this person, and this person needs it. So here I can give, right? So that is when we understand that we are gifts for the other person, but that we also see that that person has things that we don't have, and they start giving to us, right? So we can receive. And that means that we understand that humanity is greater than just ourselves or just an individual. It's actually all that happens between human beings. And the second characteristic of this original man is original innocence. That, as I told you, it was the idea of, yeah, God is the owner of, he is the Lord of the universe, which means that he decides how things are and what is good and what is bad. But that means that we liked our humanity, right? There is like this purity in our look or in our eyes, that when we see human beings, we actually see their worth, and that includes ourselves. We understood ourselves as worthy to be loved, and we understood that others were worthy to be loved as well. So, of course, that establishes relationships with one another that are completely different, because when sin starts, we want to possess the other person. So the person is a gift, but as soon as somebody gives themselves to the other holds and decides that I own you and you are for me. I am not for you, and you are not a person on yourself. You're a tool that I use however I want to. And so relationships start being of superiority instead of love, and we also try to possess and dominate the other person instead of being with the other person and being for the other person. So if you think about this first covenant that we have with God, and the first covenant is be fruitful and multiply, work the earth and subdue it, right? What we're doing there is, why would we subdue the earth and become the owners, the masters of the earth by working on it? Because here, being the owner of something doesn't mean that I own it because I have a paper that says that I am the owner, right? And the thing has to do whatever I want. Owning meant working for that other thing, usually the other person, right? But giving everything to that other thing or person, to the point that we could say, these, let's say I'm a person who's growing a flower, right? this flower is mine because it has my work in it, because I developed myself good with as much as needed for this flower to blossom. So of course this flower has part of me right there, right? And it's part of my development. So this is my flower. So in at that point, being the master of something meant being the servant of that something. Or if we're talking about people, being the master, or being, well, it sounds ugly, but yeah, the point is being the person of the other, being the wife of the man, or the husband of the woman, means being the one who serves the other person, not the one who possesses and that reigns over the other person, but the one that gives everything for the well-being of the other person, and that finds him or herself in that donation of the self. Okay? So of course that made relationships between people completely different from what they are today. And this is something that is fundamental to understand how to live our sexuality so that it brings us the best joy, the best pleasure, but also the best good possible. Okay, so that is what we're going to see on the next video. So on the next video, we're going to explore the difference between being in a relationship, being a gift in a relationship when we are equal to one another, to being a gift when one of the people is superior to the other, right? Because in that moment, how do we give ourselves to the other person changes. That is what we're going to see on the next video. So I'm very glad that you decided to stay until the end of the video. If you have any question, any comment, please write it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer you as soon as possible. And well, see you in a week. Have a nice day. Lots of blessings for everybody. Bye.